And in that season, you know, I was newly married, and so we had all the things wrong, right? Yeah. We had our mortgage, which was a variable rate balloon mortgage. We had a home equity line of credit, timeshare, credit cards, student loans.
All of it.
All of the things, right? Paycheck to paycheck, just like everybody else.
Welcome in, everybody. It is Yellow Colored Glasses, episode number 60. 60 in a row. 60 in a row. We have an awesome guest on today, Ashley Struzick, who I've known for, gosh, a long time.
Yeah,
long time.
It's been a while.
You were, whenever I was a little kid, you know, you were around neighbors, David and Rhonda Jackson.
Yep.
And all that. So knew of you back then. And so she's going to be on here. She's going to talk about her business. She's got some awesome stuff going, and she's done a lot of things really recently in the last, what, year? 2 years that you've kind of changed things up, or has it been longer than that?
2020 is actually when I really made a big change, yeah.
Okay, so she's going to talk a lot about that. And before we get into that, though, I want to read a quick review from Dana G. And it says, Janie was super helpful at requoting our mess of vehicles. When the prices couldn't get me to move, she reached out a few months later to quote it again. When I chose to change, when I choose to change, I will definitely be going with them. So, Janie, great job on that. Thank you for the review, Dana. And that's one thing that we try to do. So if we don't get customers, we're always trying to requote them, right? So we're putting them in and reaching out later to do that. So thank you again for the review. And real quick too, before we get going, we wanted to do a peak and a pit, okay? So actually our peak is something that's going really good for us, and our pit is something that, you know, not going so great. If you don't have a pit, that's okay too. So okay. Peak for me, we are almost done with our master bathroom getting remodeled. So we had a big leak. That was a pit a few weeks ago. Yeah. And now Amanda is like, yeah, I get a new bathroom. So it's almost done. Tiles almost laid. Tubs is almost ready to be set. So that's going good. So that's a good peak for me.
I love it. Well, you're gonna have to like post it, or maybe I have to come see it, because a new bathroom's always fun.
Yeah, yes, and it needed it big time. So probably since we moved in. So what about you? You got any peaks going on? Yes, I do actually.
So as you know, I sing. And I've been on stage for like ever, since I was 10, and you know, I'm only like 12 now or something, but no. Anyway, I'm actually gonna be singing at the Big Creek Opry on the 7th of October. So it's exciting to be back on stage the way I used to be, because when I was young, every weekend was Opries, and it doesn't look like that anymore, right? There's not really very many Opries anymore. So to be getting back out there, not just at church or not just karaoke or smaller things, but to be back on stage like I'm used to, I am pumped. So
that's awesome. I feel like last time I saw you, you were singing maybe a little bit of Tammy Wynette out at my brother's show in Strasburg. You remember that?
Yes, for sure.
Yes, I remember that. So
I believe we're going to be singing together again for Dakota's shoot, actually.
Okay, awesome. Yep. That's coming up on the 14th of October. Yep. So that should be a fun time. Are you going to be at the shoot, like during the shooting, or are you just coming afterwards?
The evening. Yes, okay. I actually have another educational workshop to go to during the day, so that's where I'll be during the day.
Gotcha. I'm looking forward to that. It's been a couple of years since I've actually shot in it, but we're gonna be able to make it work this year. So
awesome. I love it.
Oh, pit for me. Gosh, I already said this last time, but we're just kind of had some sickness going through the house. It's kind of running its course, but Macklin specifically he's got something going on that we can't really figure it out. So that's been a little bit of a headache, but other than that, everything's going good. Business is going good. Life is going good. Football time, everything is awesome. So any pits for you? You thought of any?
I can't really say this is a pit, but it's different for me, because since I moved my office to Pleasant Hill back in May, I'm getting back into the routine of things, right? And so just the idea of not being in my usual routine is not I don't love that, right? I like to have a system, so yeah. For sure. So moved your office to Pleasant Hill. So let's start back. Tell everybody a little bit about what you do, okay? What is, you can go back as far as you want, because I know that you've been doing what you've been doing for quite a while really now. So yeah, tell the audience, tell the folks listening what you specialize in, what you do. Okay,
business.
Perfect. Yeah, so I have actually been in business since 2006. It's been a while, right?
Wow.
I know, it's crazy.
I did not know it was that long.
It's been a long time. So back in 2006, I was fresh out of nursing school. I used to be a nurse by trade. And I had hurt my back, and I was working in Harrisonville at the hospital. And a friend of mine had came over. He was in an internship, and he was asking for some help just to kind of learn the finance industry. And so he had asked my husband about that, and my husband said yes. So they came over, and that was like before the, you know, the crash of 2008. And in that season, you know, I was newly married, and so we had all the things wrong, right? We had our mortgage, which was a variable rate balloon mortgage. We had a home equity line of credit, timeshare, credit cards, student loans.
All of it.
All of the things, right? Paycheck to paycheck, just like everybody else. And they had said, hey, we'll put together a plan for you. It'll be free. I said, ain't nothing for free, right? And so they're like, no, really. So at the time, they read through my mortgage and explained that we had the wrong kind of mortgage. I had no idea.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so I was just really excited about learning about money. And I just thought, well, I'll make a little extra money, and I can't be a nurse forever since my back's messed up, and I'll just transition out. So that's really how things got started for me. And I really just started learning the field because Dave Ramsey wasn't on the radio, Susie Orman wasn't on the radio. It was, you know, nobody was teaching about money. And so we had a plan put together. It was complimentary. I was pretty excited. And we followed that plan. And then I basically started learning the industry, right? So I started getting professional licenses and just learning everything I could possibly know. And then, oh gosh, in about 2011 or 12, I had followed the plans, right? And that they put together for me, like I said, very similar to Dave Ramsey. And it was free. And so we followed the strategy, and we actually got out of debt. So we were down to just our mortgage. And so at that time, a friend of mine had said, hey, you should pray where you're supposed to be. Because at the time I was still a nurse, right? And he said, God's a God of clarity, not a God of confusion. Pray where you're supposed to be. So I did. And that is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And so I knew that I had a dream. I know I'm not going to bore you with that, but I had a dream, and I knew I was supposed to leave nursing. So I told my husband, thinking he's going to tell me I'm nuts. And he said no. He was like, hey, we paid off your student loans. We know that this works. We've saved. We've done all the things you teach. So I think you should. And at the time, my son Shane was actually 3. And he's now a freshman in high school, which is insane. But yeah, so that way it allowed me to have a flexible schedule, be the mom I wanted to be. Decided to have kiddos, another baby. So my daughter Meredith is 9. And yeah, so we ended up putting together a plan, and I'd said, okay, well, I'm gonna basically stay at home, and then I'll eventually, you know, get to the point to quit my job, or actually not quit my job, but get working whenever she goes to school, which she did in 2020.
Gotcha. So
that's when I decided that I was going to jump in all the way and not just work part-time, but really get out there. So
there's so much that you just talked about that I want to get back into. Okay, so first of all, you said you were fresh out of college, and you had all the student loan debt, the credit cards, the balloon mortgage, timeshare, all of it. Okay. Yep. How old were you? I know you're fresh out of college, but like what?
I think it was like 22 or 23. We didn't have life insurance. We weren't on track for retirement. We didn't have anything saved. We were like most people. Okay.
And then you said the key word, there was no one teaching about that. All right. And that is something that I feel like we're still not where we need to be. But now in 2023, there are so many more people that are, I feel like, aware, that know that they need to be financially educated. I feel like there are way more resources to be financially educated. Yes. And I really remember too, like when I had personal finance in high school, they were doing the Dave Ramsey curriculum, right? And going through like the money makeover, or I don't remember what it was called at the time. But we were going through that, and so like we at least got a grasp of some of those concepts. Now, at the same time, when you're looking at doing that and following that plan, what led you to, I know that you said you prayed about it, you wanted to leave nursing, all that. How do you, and then also your spouse, take that leap of faith? Okay, one of the things that we talk about when we bring business owners on, when you're going from a dependable, stable income, talk about that process and really kind of how the teaching part drove it too, if that's part of what it was.
Yeah, no, that's great. So in our situation, I knew that it was something that I would want to do at some point, but I also wanted security and safety. And so the concepts that I was teaching people, because at that point that's what I was doing, I was teaching people about money. I was always going, okay, well, one, you need 3 different types of accounts. You know, you need an emergency fund for the refrigerator going out. You know, you need a short-term account for, you know, that exact reason, right? The ups and downs of if you leave your job. And then, of course, your long-term savings and investing for retirement. And so we had done that. I did exactly what I was teaching. And so we had that 6 months of an emergency fund. So that was a little bit less, you know. So we got to the point where, like, okay, all we have is our mortgage, so we could totally make ends meet on my husband's income alone. We had our short-term account set up so that we knew that it could be several months before I would need to even touch it. And then, of course, I had been, for many years, I'd been working part-time. So I knew that I could make money. I knew I just had to be consistent. And so that's really what it came down to. You know, I did pray about it because I think anything that you do in life that's massive like that, you should pray about it. I mean, I'm a believer. I know not everyone is, but that's my beliefs. And I knew. And so I think, you know, a lot of times if you listen to your heart, that little voice you have in your head, you know, I'm sure you probably had a voice in your head when you did this, right?
Absolutely.
Then you know. And so when you have no doubt, because you've already done all the things, which is what I did, right? I was like, okay, this has to happen, this has to, and so on. And I had mentors to ask. And so a friend of mine, his name's Sean, and he said, hey, he said, when you're ready to jump in and then make this all you do, then at that point, you need to see what things are doing and then keep doing what you're doing for at least 90 days. And that's what I did. You know, I was like, okay, well, let's wait this 90 days out and see what that looks like. And it continued to be consistent. And so that's when I made the transition.
Got it. Okay, that's awesome. And so now you've been doing this, what, 17 years now in total. So how have things changed? Like, what have the changes been along the way? Like, maybe take us through some struggles that there were, and some maybe some
ups and downs.
How's all that look?
Well, at first, you know, I was young and doing what I do for a living. You know, it's very interesting because it's money, right? And so in your early 20s, not everybody you know is married.
For sure.
And that's the way that I've built my business, is people that I know. I don't do cold calling. I don't do door knocking. I don't do all of that stuff. So the idea of going and actually knowing people that were married that might need what I did, that was kind of a struggle at first, and I had some health issues. So, you know, I had to get through that, you know, having babies and going on bed rest with both of them for more than half of the pregnancy. You know, that kind of messes things up, you know, and I remember I had a messed up back and I had jaw surgery and a lot of health issues that I had to work through. And that's why, for me, it wasn't a super overnight success. So I think one of it is I had to, you know, I had to pray, right? I mean, I don't know how more clear I can be, but that's always something that I've done, you know, because I just asked the Lord to lead me through every day's process. But then there's also been seasons. I mean, I decided to open up my agency, well, the week that COVID shut the world down.
Yeah.
That was definitely a big one because, you know, the way I'd always ran my business before.
Meeting with people.
It's a little bit different. And I think the Lord, I actually had Zoom. I already had clients across the country, so I was using Zoom. So that was not an issue for me. But, you know, it was very interesting because before, you know, if it was bad weather and I was going to meet with someone, I would occasionally say, hey, let's meet on Zoom. Well, they didn't know what Zoom was. And so teaching people, a lot of times they'd be like, well, we'll just reschedule.
Yeah.
Well, now it's definitely changed the entire world, you know, and so now if it's bad weather and I don't want to go to the office, or maybe they just don't want to meet in person, cool. All I gotta do is hop on a Zoom, and I really like that. So, yeah, so those, I mean, there's just been lots of trials, you know. It's like, it seems like more than anything, I think being self-employed, it is a mental fight that you have within yourself. You know, you sit there and you, I think you're never where you want to be as fast as you want to be. And so that is definitely one of the biggest things, is making sure that you plug into things, right, and work on your mind, because I don't care who you are, you're never where you want to be. If you are someone like you and I, right, that strive, that have big goals and dreams, you know, that don't just want to sit in front of a TV every day. So I think really just making sure working on my mind has been really, really important, because there have been trials, you know, there's been people passing away, you know, there's been health things, there's been a lot of things that come and go, and I don't care who you are, you're going to get beat up in life. It's just, do you stay down or do you pick yourself up and keep going?
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with all of that. So what are some things that you do to work on your mind? What are, like, when you're going through those, you know, maybe days where you're not as motivated or days when you're questioning things, what are some things that you do to keep yourself sharp and motivated and, you know, moving forward?
I think that's a great question. I love audiobooks. I'm not much of a sit down read kind of gal, but I will totally do an audiobook or a podcast. Or, you know, Think and Grow Rich is a great place because it talks to you about your mind. You know, I listen to different podcasts. I like Pastor Craig Groeschel. He's a leadership person, but he's a pastor. And so he talks to businesses or people that have businesses about, you know, growth and getting out of ruts and things like that. But he's a pastor, so he runs the pastor, you know, he runs the church, which is still a business. It has to make money. And so I think really, and having mentors that are in a place that you want to be. Because, you know, if you talk to someone that is where you want to go, then you can ask them, well, how'd you get there? You know, how did you get past this trial? How did you get past, what did you do? You know, and I think it's really helpful just having that core group of people that have the same mindset, because, you know, having the self-employment or, you know, a different mindset than just a job, right, is not the same thing.
No doubt.
And so just being associated with people that have, you know, surrounding yourself with people that you want to be like.
For sure. No, for sure. And that I think that's, I don't know, that's what I feel like all business owners, at least that we know and that we're around, I mean, kind of all have that in common, right? And it's something that you don't realize it until you are self-employed or until you decide to go be self-employed. How many other people, number one, either are already doing that you never even realized and thought about how they live their lives, and or, you know, number two, how many people wish they would do it but they don't go ahead and pull the trigger on it. Right. So that's I don't know, that's pretty interesting to me to be able to see that and kind of witness that. So whenever you are running your business, right? Explain what you do for people. Okay, explain like what's your process look like whenever you meet potential customers or potential clients.
I love it. So for me, because I didn't know anything about money, right? I'm always leading with education. So whether it's doing a workshop, I did a workshop a couple weeks ago to teaching parents how to teach their kids about money, or whether it's, you know, doing something where I'm talking to married couples about money, right? So I might do a group setting, or I'll go into a church and whatever the case may be. So sometimes I do group settings, but more so I meet with people one-on-one. So when I sit down with, say, a husband and a wife, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to teach them about money. I'm going to go through the concepts that I never knew, because, you know, there's something called the Rule of 72, which blows my mind every time I see it, and I teach it all the time. And most people, when I go through that concept, they're like, well, wait a second here, I wish I knew that a long time ago. You know, or, you know, the cost of waiting, you know, saving is really, really important, or not saving, investing is super important whenever you are young, because then you have doubling periods, which you'll learn about with the Rule of 72, and that allows our money to grow. And so I'm always starting with different concepts, because my thought is, if I can teach someone, whether they do business with me or not, I just want to make sure that they're educated, and I use this as like my ministry. So I'm always telling people, this is where I was, and this is where I am now. Because then they can say, hey, wait a second, she's just not talking at me. She's gone through this process. She knows how I feel, because I did feel the same way they do, right? And so I just go through the education, and then if they say, hey, awesome, I love that you taught me all of that stuff, how can you help me? Then we put together complementary strategies, basically, that we look at everything. So maybe I might look at retirement, and I'll ask them, hey, when would you like to retire? How much money would you like to live on in retirement in today's dollars, right? Because inflation happens. You know, what do you have in your retirement assets, right? We look through all of that and then come up with a plan and let them know what they need as a lump sum so they don't run out of money. And so then we can back that down to, okay, well, if we now know that maybe we need 1.8 million, how do we get there? And so that's when I love digging into the debt side of things. So, you know, I put together strategies that we look at, you know, what someone's spending, you know, so I say, you know, what are you spending each month? What's your balance? What's your interest rate? What's your payment? And then I have a computer system that spits out a plan, shows me how to help them get out of debt with the same money they're spending. For sure. So if they get out of debt, they could probably invest, right? And catch up for retirement. Absolutely. So yeah, so that's really what I do, is I look at all of the areas of their finances and I put together a complimentary plan. And then the way I stay in business, people go, wait a second, how does this work? And I'm like, well, if I find a fit and you see that it's best for you, then cool, I'd love to earn your business. And if not, just pass me on to 3 or 5 people that you know, so that I don't have to advertise, I can continue to stay in business.
Yeah, and so how is that, like, over the 17 years that you've been doing, how do you feel like that piece of it has continued to grow your business? Do you feel like do you get to a point where the referrals just kind of take care of themselves, or is it still a challenge as it like it was in the beginning? How does it look now compared to when you started?
Oh, it's so different. So over the years, I've gotten into helping big businesses, doing like 401ks or 403bs or 457s, things like that. So that's an easy way to get referrals, right?
Absolutely.
Because I walk in, I teach, and then they're like, oh yeah, you'll help me? Cool, let's talk, right? That's easy. I would say it's definitely changed, because in the early years, it was like, well, how do I get people to meet with me? And then I would start people that I knew, and then they'd pass me on to other people. Eventually they started texting, because texting became a thing, right? Yep. And so they would text their best friend and they're like, hey, you should meet with Ashley. And I would just reach out to them and meet with them. But that's really changed over, all of the spam that we're getting.
Yeah.
And so we've had to be creative. And so what I've noticed, a lot of my clients tag me and do like a group message with me and that person. And they're like, hey, I asked Ashley to reach out to you. And so, well, if that's the case, they already know I'm not a spam. So it's really been interesting. I would say it's flourished. I mean, I have so many names of people to call that I get to the point I'm like, oh no, I need to call somebody. But, I can't necessarily call everybody. So then I follow up with my clients and I try to do like an annual update. And then I ask them, hey, I got so busy with actual, clients that were coming in, things like that. Is it okay if I still reach out to so-and-so? Would you mind letting them know I'll touch base? So it's really changed because, it went from who am I going to call to, man, all these people I'm being referred to. And then I have Calendly, which has been a game changer. Absolutely love it. Because then people can actually schedule directly on my Calendly. And then I just look and I know, okay, either I'm meeting with them on Zoom, or they're coming into the office, or maybe I need to meet them at work, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So it's really been phenomenal having that tool that I didn't have before.
Absolutely. Technology has changed things so much.
Yes.
It's absolutely crazy. And yeah, who knew the good part of COVID would be that we realized that we could do stuff over Zoom, over just online. That has made things so much more convenient, almost to a fault too sometimes, where people
I agree.
Get a little bit lazy with it instead of actually showing up and having in person, face-to-face talks. I guess it's better than just a phone call though, right? You can still see people. So
for sure. Well, see, I'm a hugger.
Yeah.
So when I see people, my husband always laughs at me. He's like, you really hug your clients? Yes, I do. Yeah. I become friends with them, right? It's about building relationships.
All about building relationships. So we talk about, whenever we have business owners on, we always talk about the idea of scalability, right? And building your business to be bigger, because no matter what, as self-employed people, eventually at the end of the road, we don't want to have to put as much time in forever as we do in the beginning. So talk a little bit about how you're able to scale your business and how that looks. If with whatever you can go into detail on.
Definitely. So yeah, I work with a nationwide company, and basically we have the opportunity to bring people into my agency. So I'm set up very similar to Keller Williams, broker agent model.
Yep.
And so by doing that, I can teach someone just like I did, right? Where I was a nurse and I just wanted to learn about money and be able to help other people. And so by doing that, I can bring people into my agency where they can actually be me. And so that's really my biggest focus at this point is, awesome, I can help a lot of people, but I only have 24 hours a day. And so at this point, I'm really seeking to find 3 people that I can mentor to become me, open up their own agency. And so that's the best part is, I'm in business not by myself. I'm in business for myself, but not by myself, right? Because I work with a franchise, basically. And so that's the great thing is a person can come on board with me. Maybe they have the vision of, maybe I want to own my own business, but I don't want to have to quit my job to do that. Then I can take someone just like I did, come on board part-time. I can teach them the ropes. A lot of people work days. And so it's simple. Like when I was a nurse, I would go to work and I'd come home, I'd change my clothes. Actually, I wouldn't even come home. I would go to the bathroom, change my clothes at the doctor's office, and I'd leave dressed up. And then people would be like, well, what is going on here? Where are you going? Well, I'm working. And so that is pretty amazing because it's a different strategy than most businesses. And so, of course, someone has to pass a background check and, pass tests and stuff. But that's the best part, is being able to mentor other people to open up their own agency, whether they want to work part-time or maybe they want to be me. Yeah. Or think even bigger, right? So my next step is 3 people that I help open their own agency, but that's not where I'm stopping.
Yeah. Do you have a pretty good foundation built under you right now? Like, do you have anybody that's really taken off and flourishing with it?
I have definitely, over the years, I have this, right? Yeah. That's the one thing that happens. And so I'm looking for that person right now, the person that really wants it. I think I have a couple within my agency that can definitely be that person. But, time will tell. Now I just got to get out there and I got to see and I got to help them work, right? Absolutely. And help them reach their goals by, having a system of consistently making phone calls, right? Not just when you feel like it. Yeah. And consistently following up with people that they know, that they've already helped. Because as you know, right, maybe you said, well, if we can't help them with their insurance now, we'll follow up with in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, follow-up's a huge thing.
Absolutely.
And so that is really the next thing, is not only teaching people the fundamentals of how to help people, right? The fundamentals of getting people out of debt and helping them with retirement and, all the things, but also, okay, how do I feed myself without having to find new people? Yeah. Well, we got to be good at that. And so that's really where I focus at this point. Because, it's not for everyone, being self-employed. It's just finding the right people. And so I'm constantly praying that God brings the right people to me, whether it's clients that I can help or whether it's people that maybe need to be me at some point because they have that thing inside of them that says, hey, I want to be, I'm called for something bigger. I just don't know what it is yet.
Absolutely. So how have you felt like there's been a certain type or a certain scenario that works better for people that are, coming on in not only just the industry, but in, in the franchise that you're with? Is there a certain type of person, certain situation, whether it's maybe somebody who's single, young? Is it they're just in a, they're just looking for a change? What has been the most successful, or what do you see as the most successful type of people that are coming into business,
I would say for me, it's that person that maybe they always thought they were going to be something more in life, right? Like I thought I was going to be a famous singer. That was what I thought I was going to do, right? And so maybe it's that person that always was playing football all the time and was, great at that. Or maybe they were like me and they sang, or whatever the thing is, right? There's usually someone that has a bigger vision in life. And so I know that those people that have that little feeling that say, my life isn't supposed to be paycheck to paycheck, sitting at home watching TV. I find that that's the good place to start, of course. Now we got to work on, this thing right here, right? Yeah. Because our mental, the way we view ourselves, we really have to change that. And so I would say also it's helpful people that maybe are in the same situation. Maybe they're married, maybe they have kids. Because when you have kids, you want life to be better for them than it was for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think that is helpful, because instead of using your kids as an excuse, well, I can't do my business because I have to go to soccer practice, or I have to go to cheer practice, or I have to be at this, that, or the other. That's why it's so important to have a partnership, just like you and your wife do, right? Yep. So I have some things I have to do tonight. So my husband he's going to go to this meeting, and I'm going to go here, and we're going to, make things happen. And so having a partnership, if you have a business, is really helpful, meaning that somebody has to be at home keeping the fort down, right? Cooking and dealing with kids and all of those things.
Absolutely.
And then I think it's so important to sell your dreams to your kids, right? Because it doesn't have to be whatever you're at. I don't care where you are in anything in your life, whether you're trying to get out of debt and you're like, man, one day we'll get out of debt, or maybe you're me and you want to have, scale your business. You have to sell those dreams with your kids, because if you do, and you're like, okay, well, we really want to get this paid off. Well, that's going to take some maybe not going out to eat as often, right? Or maybe not buying that toy every time you go to the grocery store, or whatever, candy bar, or whatever the case may be. And so they have to understand, work hard, but you can play hard as well. And so I really think that using your kids as a why is really important, Yeah.
That's a really good point. That is a really, really good point. I don't know if anybody's ever said that exactly how you just said it on our podcast when they're talking about their business and selling your dreams to your kids. And yeah, because they're seeing everything that you're doing. They're seeing everything that you do, the way that you go at the day, the way that you show up for this or that or attend things and all that, they see all of it. So I think you're right. Whenever they understand the purpose of things, whether they're, Macklin and Asher are only 4 and 6.
Yep.
But they're big enough now to where it's starting to click. They're understanding money. They're understanding those things. So yeah, that's a good point. So I think the last thing for you, or that I want to ask is, and I know we talked about the scalability, but what would you think would be your long term? What's the end goal? What's the end goal that you want to have?
Yeah, well,
your business.
I would say within my next 10 years. Okay, my focus is to help 3 people open up their own agency for sure. But also, there's this thing called the wall of wealth, and there's 80 million baby boomers, and there's 10,000 a day turning 65, and there's this massive shortage of investment advisors, right? Because a lot of them are older, and the average age is like 56, I believe, at this time. And there's only 297,000 investment advisors. So there's a massive shortage. When you look at doctors, or you look at real estate, or you look at anything else, there's so many more. So one of the things I'm really focusing in is getting $100 million in assets under management. So that means other people's money. I'm helping to where they don't have to freak out so much about the ups and downs of the market. They have a person they can call. They know that they have a beneficiary and all the things are set up appropriately. They have someone to walk through all that stuff. So I'm really focusing on, yes, growing my business and the idea of helping people open up their own agency, and then staffing my agency, of course, but also really getting those assets under management growing, because that is part of how I pay my bills, right? And so focusing on, hey, man, if I don't talk to these people, who's going to? Because if there's only 297,000 out of the entire country, that's really a big shortage, because there's a lot of people out there. So really focusing on helping people. Like I said, I was a nurse by trade, so that's important to me. And, helping them where it makes sense so they don't have to be scared of the market. And so, yes, I do want to grow my agency. And I want to grow other agencies, right? Eventually, I'd love to have 10 agencies that I've helped, other people mentor and get up and going. But I still love helping people. I don't think I'll ever stop doing this.
Okay. I thought that might be your answer. I didn't think that you were going to say, oh, well, in 10 years I'm ready to just be done. I didn't think that you would say that. So, no, well, I think that was really good. We've had a great discussion. Is there anything else you think you want to chat about or hit on?
No, other than I think it's so important that the listeners, if they're listening, right, that they understand that whether they're a small business owner and they don't realize that there's different tax benefits and things out there for small business owners when it comes to investing, or maybe they're just that person, they just got married and they're trying to figure out what the heck, right? That there are people out there that want to help.
Absolutely.
And so that's the key, is you don't have to sit there and suffer in silence, right? There's people out there that do want to help, that you don't have to spend thousands of dollars. I know that's the industry, right? But that's not what I do. I go out and I help people. I don't care if they are able to invest 25 bucks a month or if they're able to invest millions. I don't care. I just want to make sure that they're educated and that whatever they're doing, that they're making wise choices with that money, and that they can change their family tree. Yeah, and that's changing the family tree. And it's funny too when you're talking about somebody that's got $25 a month to invest, or somebody that's maybe investing 5,000 bucks a month. It's funny how whenever you have that mindset and that attitude and you just want to help people and educate people, it all balances out anyway. Yes. Isn't it? It's kind of funny how that works, right? Somebody investing $25 a month isn't paying us much, right? No, and we're spending a lot of time with those people. Yes. But if we're spending just as much time with them and coming at it from a place of honestly just giving and caring and education, then all of a sudden the person that's $5,000 a month walks through the door. So. You do what's right, and it just goes full circle.
It just happens. Well, Ashley, I'm excited that things are going awesome for you.
Thanks. I'm excited. I'm proud of you. I've seen things grow, right? You've done great.
And thank you. But I think the coolest part is that when you said 2006, I didn't realize it'd been that long.
Long time.
It's a long time to stick with it and to not quit and to not give up on it and show, that kind of commitment. So props to you. You're earning every single thing that you're getting. So very happy, and thank you for coming on and joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
The big episode 60.
60. I love it.
All right, everybody have a good one. Thanks for watching. And last thing, where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm downtown Pleasant Hill.
Okay.
So if you're in the Pleasant Hill area, I'm right next door to Big Creek. Or I'm 2 doors down from, I guess, is it Wing Hill now? It used to be the wine stop.
Yep.
So I'm 2 doors down from there. I don't have a massive sign, but you'll see Ashley Struzick on the window, and that's where I'm at. So I know we have the trunk or treat upcoming here pretty soon, so I'll be handing out candy, and I do a once-a-month workshop. This next month I'll be doing an investment seminar. So yeah, or they can Google me, and they could easily find me that way as well.
Awesome. All right, we'll check her out. And once again, thanks for coming on, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Have a good one, everybody. Episode 60.